Here we are. I think people are coming in right now. Autumn, if you want to hop on in, share your video and audio, I'll bring you on stage. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I think you can start to feel how we're going to move from session to session here. Obviously, I'm just one person. I got to move between all the marketing track sessions. Just ended over there with Tim Ryan from Orca. I felt like I got a ton of information on some of the do's and don'ts of live shopping. Great live shopping partner. They can help you do anything you want, and he's always available for questions. Just send him an email if you have any final questions. Sadly, we couldn't get to some of the great questions in chat there. Anywho, Autumn, good to have you with us. I'm really excited for your presentation because on top of TikTok, after going live or before going live or somewhere in between there, we might want to sprinkle in some ad content. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you and seeing even some of the secret sauce of Northbeam's really powerful platform on omnichannel ad strategy, TikTok ad strategy, and all that. With that said, Autumn, if you want to share your screen, I will hop out of here and let you take it away.
Perfect. I'm excited to be here. Hopefully, can you see my screen okay?
Looks great. Everything's good. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So hello, everybody. I'm Autumn Morgan. I am the head of events at Northbeam. And today I'm basically going to just be talking you through 5 strategies you can do now, regardless of whether you're an agency, a brand, or a mix of both. Maybe you have both of those under your plate. You're working for an agency in-house and you have your own brand, whatever it may be. 5 strategies that you can use for marketing profitability in 2023. Like Derek said, I will be touching on the TikTok aspect of things, but also looking at a little bit more of a general view. Since every business tends to have like a different strategy or approach for success that'll bring them what they need essentially for 2023 or beyond. There are, though, a number of things that are kind of consistent across the board for how you want to think about your marketing, especially in 2023. And as we're looking at TikTok shops and looking to advertise there, as well as kind of any other platform. So without further ado, I do want to start off with a quick quote. I heard this all throughout college as almost like a joke because it's so true. So half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. Now, this may be a truism that we hear all the time, but it's not something we want to have in 2023. Instead, what we're looking to do with all of these 5 optimization steps that I'm going to be sharing is make it so that you know where your ad budget is going and what is actually working as opposed to what is just kind of skating along, not really doing too much, or even hurting what your business is doing. So let me jump right in really quick. What might be your barrier to success? What might be preventing you from knowing the true impact of your marketing budget? And this is true with TikTok as well as like Meta or even X/Twitter. I don't know what everybody's using. I'm still on the Twitter bandwagon until further notice, but I'll put like a little /X there. But ad platforms don't really talk to each other. Each one kind of wants to claim credit for a conversion on your website, which can kind of hurt your ability as a marketer to know what lever to pull or to get you to a place where you actually know what's needed to increase ROI on your campaigns, to iterate on campaigns that are actually working, and to shut down campaigns that are hurting you. TikTok, for instance, is really good for creating and generating awareness. And a lot of the intent is captured on TikTok, but a lot isn't. Let's say shops, for instance, you might have somebody browsing on your TikTok shop on an actual item, but perhaps they saw it on Facebook, or they see it first on TikTok and then they go to Google later when they have the budget for that item. Google's going to claim that conversion, but TikTok might as well because of the cookies that they've attached. Or you want to understand your TikTok to Amazon funnel, your TikTok to Facebook to email, whatever that might be. You typically aren't, there's typically going to be some difficulties with looking at the app platforms reporting themselves because Google might report something as a conversion on their end and TikTok might say the same. So with that, you kind of have some incomplete third-party data and a lack of ability to really determine what omnichannel or what channels are impacting your omnichannel strategy overall the best. But what you need to kind of overcome that, and it could be Northbeam's universal attribution, or it can just be universal attribution in general. Don't worry, I'm not going to be turning this into a full-on sales pitch on why you should buy Northbeam. But what I am going to be doing is taking you through a different thought process on how to look at running your marketing team, and a holistic kind of universal attribution point of view. So with Northbeam, for instance, what we do on our back end is we have advanced tracking in a device graph that compiles all of the data from your different platforms and uses machine learning to kind of look at where to put your attribution. We look at it through multiple lenses, including MTA, which is multi-touch attribution, mixed media modeling, incrementality, and in many cases, we'll also look at it through just kind of a general like social media perspective. And with universal attribution, that's kind of the goal, is to have all of your information in one place and have a good idea of what's working and what's not. And to achieve that, you need to be able to see all of your data from all of your platforms in one spot. You really need to have kind of some first-party data, and in many cases zero-party data as well, where you ask people explicitly to tell you how they found your brand or what drove them to conversion, in order to balance the books essentially on what the platforms are telling you and what your website platform is telling you, and just kind of in general what you're seeing. So think of it as taking the machine learning to put that data together in a way that's both useful and coherent, because you don't really want your use of the machine learning or that combination of data to be difficult to understand or even to use. You want to make it as simple as possible for yourself. With Northbeam, we bake all of that information into the tool so that you don't have to think about it. If you're going to be looking at a universal attribution at your multi-channel attribution from a universal attribution lens, you might have to do a little bit of math on your end to kind of see what's working, and I'll get into that in a couple of slides down. But this is what Northbeam is doing and how it can really help you a little bit. So with that being said, here are some 5 steps that are going to help you optimize your ad spend budget across multiple channels for multiple profit. I talked about having to do the math on your own, or you can use a tool like Northbeam to do that. But when you really condense all of your data from all of your different channels into one place, it helps you maximize your ROAS for your existing channels and campaigns, and gives you an idea on when it might be best to switch to a new channel or add one into your existing set. Or you can also quickly kind of scale your creative tests and create iteration upon iteration of campaigns that are working in your ad channels, and see if something that works on TikTok might work on Meta, or if it'll work on Twitter/X instead. So here's the first step. You really want to understand your lifetime value. Having that ability to go back and understand the LTV of your customers that have been acquired from specific ads can really, really help. And taking that even further, if you can increase your ability to understand the impact of every ad you've ever run, rather than that 1 week look that many platforms offer you, you're going to have a much wider breadth of understanding that you can look at and make long-term decisions for your business from. So you want to understand first what your customers acquired from each point, who turned into the longest purchasers, who are the most loyal customers, etc. And you can break that down into more and more granular categories and really open up the scope of your understanding for like which ad in particular is generating the most LTV and at the fastest rate. So that could be a specific poll, it could be a poll, or it can be a type of ad, or a certain nuance in your copy, or types of imagery. That's going to be unique to your specific brand. But the importance of understanding your LTV is the same across the board. It's always going to be important, especially if you're looking at what ads or what campaigns have the highest LTV and at that fastest rate. That's really important, because pushing for LTV as quickly as possible front loads your cash. And that enables you then to kind of turn around and reinvest the cash into the campaigns that you've seen are working, so that you get even more LTV at a faster rate and you get more and more cash front loaded. On the opposite end, which is what I wouldn't recommend, would be the LTV, the campaigns that generate the most LTV, but at the slowest rate. Sure, like it's a long-term investment, but you're not going to get that front load of cash that you can then reinvest, essentially. So many factors are going to impact your lifetime value. It could be your specific product. It could be whether you have a subscription or offering or not. It could be the region that people are purchasing from, or that they're getting your product shipped to. You might even have a longer consideration phase, or you might not be like a usable, your customers might not use your product as frequently as some other customers. So that's something that's really going to impact your understanding of your LTV, and it's something to incorporate into your findings. And then second, you really want to build channel benchmarks. So this is going to go hand in hand with that understanding that LTV, and this is that math that I mentioned you might have to do on your own if you're not using a tool like Northbeam. So you're going to take your conversion lag multiplier, multiply it by your 1-day ROAS, your CAC, cost per acquisition, and that's going to give you a 1-day benchmark. So you're probably looking at channel benchmarks like TikTok or Instagram or something along those lines, but most channel benchmarks tend to be arbitrary. It's not always the case, but it's pretty common. And so you want to set benchmarks based exclusively on your own brand. This mathematical formula is going to help you do that, because you don't want to look at the results other people are getting. You want to look at yourself internally. See what you're getting now. See how you can improve. Set goals for that. And if you can hit this benchmark, this 1-day benchmark every single day, your company will grow. This helps you get out of that complicated back and forth thinking of, oh, is this good enough? Is this not? Am I even growing? Is anything I'm doing worth it or making a difference? If you hit that benchmark, you know that you're going to see some growth. And again, those benchmarks are unique entirely to your brand. But if you can set these benchmarks and you can look to achieve them every day, you'll immediately have set goalposts for your business. And brands that have goals that they're actively working toward tend to perform better than the brands that just kind of do whatever and hope for the best and don't really set a goal. I mean, this is true kind of in daily life as well. If you float around along, don't set a goal, you might have some great things happen to you, but you also might not. And you won't know whether something is getting you to where you want to be if you don't have a goal of where you want to be in the first place and attainable milestones to get there. So third, we're going to really want to make a process for daily reviews. And I want to stress, these are daily reviews, not daily changes. You don't need to change your ads every day. And even if you did, that could actually hurt your performance rather than help. Thank you, Brian. Instead, you really want to kind of take a daily pulse of how your ads are performing every single day. Take a really solid look. Compare against those benchmarks that you set in step 2. Ask yourself, is there a standard, does like the standard 7-day creative cycle work for you? Or is a different period better for your brand? Maybe, your ads typically have a low period the first 3 days, and then after the 4th day, they start picking up. Or maybe they pick up right at the beginning, and then they die off after the next few days. What that cycle is unique to your particular business. And your ad accounts relationship with the algorithm is unique to your business. and it's unique to every single platform that you're on. So set up daily reviews of your ads on whatever platform you're advertising on, because the only way you can get to a place where you know whether it makes sense to open a new channel, adjust your copy, change up your targeting, is by looking at your ads every day and having a solid understanding of what that cycle looks like for you, for each individual channel and each individual ad set. And again, whatever you do not adjust your ads every day. That can actually hurt your performance rather than help it. It's kind of like that story of the chef who continuously tries the soup and keeps adding more and more and more ingredients until finally they get to a point where it's not even recognizable as a soup anymore. It's some random concoction of a bunch of stuff, and it doesn't particularly taste as good as they had hoped. So that's going to be your third step. And next is your fourth step, sharing creative feedback. And I'm going to take that a step further to sharing creative feedback in a way that's constructive. So the past 3 steps have been about how kind of the team should be managing ads and how you want to look at it from a team perspective and an iteration perspective. Now I want to talk to kind of your management mindset. If you're in charge of a creative team or you have people reporting to you, this step is really going to be for you, because you want to look at more of how you're going to address the people making the creative and how you're going to help the team that's creating your ad copy or creating your targeting or anything like that, if that's not you, on the performance. What is the click-through rate? What is the scroll stop rate? Those metrics, again, are going to be unique to your brand. What is a good benchmark for you? What is a good click-through rate for you? What yields you the highest LTV at that fastest rate? If you have videos on TikTok that your creative team is putting together, how you want to think about how you're going to present feedback to them on if something isn't performing according to the benchmarks that you've set, and what they can do differently based off of what you've noticed during your daily reviews. With doing that, you kind of create a better environment for continuous changes. And what I mean when I say that is continuous changes toward the better, and continuous is long-term, as opposed to happening one after another nonstop. Continuous it still happens, but it's over time without stopping. So you don't want to create an ad and never look at it and then wait until the week is over and go, oh, well, that didn't perform as I thought it would, but I don't know if it performed well or not because I don't have a benchmark. Or you don't want to not set your team up for success and not give them an idea of what you're looking for ahead of time. And then during the time that they are creating, or during the time that they are in the middle of a campaign for you. And feel free, if anybody has questions, to drop them in the chat. I will answer them. Hopefully this is all making sense. And if not, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But with that takes us to our final step, plan for the long term. And this is plan for the long term with mixed media modeling, MMM. Mixed media modeling has really come a long way since the days of only radio or only television ads with no means of seeing whether a specific ad worked. But when you're planning for the long term now with MMM, you're really using the statistics of the data. You're using statistics to understand which increased level of ad spend and on what channel will drive more business and what the diminishing returns are for you for each specific ad channel and each specific campaign. Old MMM is kind of steeped in the not sure what's working, that quote I mentioned earlier. But again, this is 2023. We're not only advertising on television or radio. We can see the data. We can see what ads are working and when and how they're impacting our bottom line. So now you kind of need a more unique approach. You want to look at a combination of things. Look at like seasonality, your specific budget planning for each individual channel. You also want to look at whether you're planning for a specific holiday. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming up, for instance. That is huge in the e-commerce world. But you can have a decent campaign, but if you don't have an understanding of what's worked well in the past, from a data perspective, you're going to be really hurt a little bit with your results this year. And that's where you would want to plan for the long term, because when you're making these daily checks, when you're following all of the steps that I've shared here, you'll have a really good understanding and ability to create like graphs like this that show you over time what's worked for your business, what hasn't, and you can make iterations and changes based off of that. Northbeam has a really unique approach to MMM in that we have taken all of these ideas that I have mentioned here and have combined it into one platform. We call it MMM Plus is the feature. And it takes a really unique approach because it looks at all of these things. Yeah. All of these things from every single channel that you're advertising on. And it combines it into one location, and you don't have to do that math on your own. We do it in the back end for you. It's right there, easy to see, and you're able to think about the allocation of budget, like Derek mentioned, from a revenue/profit maximizing strategy, as opposed to just, well, we brought in more money than we spent this month, so that's a win. You want it to be more of like we hit this specific benchmark for this specific month, which means we're on track for this amount of ad spend to bring in this amount of revenue. And here's how we're going to do it from an advertising perspective and from a platform perspective. Maybe Meta isn't for you. Maybe instead your audience is going to be on TikTok, or they engage more with you on Twitter or even LinkedIn. You're not going to know that unless you really pay attention to the long-term effects of your advertising and make changes based off of that. And so really, to sum everything up, all of these 5 steps helps you maximize your return on ad spend for existing channels and campaigns, because you get a better understanding of what everything is doing and how it all works together. And you're also able to quickly scale your creative tests because you can see what ad is working with what particular demographic. You can see whether the imagery affects the performance of an ad on your lifetime value. You can see how the copy affects it. You can see even the platform, and you can make changes on your creative based off of those findings, especially if you're checking once a week or every single day throughout the entire week or month or year, however long you are running a piece of creative for. You can see how it's performing and create changes based off of that. And finally, you can also know when to launch any new channels. If something's performing well on TikTok, maybe it'll perform well on YouTube. You're never really sure unless you have data to back it up. And following these 5 steps is really going to help you get that information and back up your business decisions in a scalable and timely manner according to your unique benchmarks for your unique brand. That is the end of my presentation. Again, I'm Autumn Morgan. I'm the head of events at Northbeam. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at autumn@northbeam.io. And in case, tiny little plug for Northbeam, if you mention this event to our sales team, book a demo, you get your 2nd month free. And here's a quote from Carly London, who has been on our webinar 3 times, I think, 2 or 3 times, and on our summit twice. She's absolutely fabulous. So she just said, Northbeam is my single source of truth and is an analytics tool that every advanced marketer needs. So I love Carly. Hopefully you love Carly too. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out.
Autumn, thanks so much. I absolutely love this. And like I kind of alluded to that slide on the last screen, it makes me think about, well, a few things. It reminds me of my days when I was in-house at a beauty box subscription. I was in charge of the $300,000 ad budget. My COO told me to spend half of it on Google and half of it on Facebook. Why? Well, why? Well, like, what's the point? Like, I was probably down in those low purplish valleys. You know what I mean? Hitting some sort of local maximum. But if I'd have looked at where to distribute this ad spend, or maybe even considered adding or testing new channels, I could have found the high peaks of revenue and profit that were eluding us, you know, and we were successful. I think that's the other side of it too, is it just because you're profitable, maybe you're at 300% return on ad spend, which is, I think, phenomenal for any great e-commerce brand. But you could have been at 400 or 500, and that takes so much money home to the bank. Hopefully, if you're a media buyer, it's putting you should get some sort of incentive for improving ad spend. And of course, if you're a CEO or a shareholder, you're going to feel that all the way to the bank. So it just made me think about how archaic the old way is and how important it could be to use data. And whether it's Northbeam or anything else, a human can't really do this. So you really need a technology partner in place. So if you're advertising over $10,000 a month across 2 or more channels, highly recommend checking out Northbeam and making sure that you're spending in the right places. It's mandatory. Like you said, this is not a problem in 2023. It's only a problem for those antiquated businesses. I was doing that back in 2018, 19. I really wish we had a tool like this. It would have just been game changer at such high ad budgets for us.
Yeah, something I've seen a lot is just kind of brands paying money for ad spend, or like running ads on Meta or Google just because that's how it's done. But it's going to be really unique to your brand. So figuring out what works for you is going to be the game changer that takes your brand to the next level and continues growing.
Love it. Awesome. Really quick, I'm curious. Obviously, this talked a lot about omni-channel strategy, TikTok being one of those channels, which I think is very fitting for this summit. But I'm just curious, are you a TikTok user, Autumn?
I'm a TikTok lurker. I watch videos, but I'm lazy. I don't really post. I do consulting on the side, like marketing consulting, and I've been trying to talk one of my clients into going on TikTok, and she's just not having it, just because she doesn't want to have videos with her face on them. And I'm like, do it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
your life.
I feel you. But with this summit today, and even just looking at the opportunity TikTok shop, hearing more things too that I didn't even know coming into this, I'm thinking, you and I should maybe create a TikTok shop together and start going live. I don't know what we're selling yet, but we'll figure it out.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. With that, we'll move into our next session. We'll end this here. There'll be about 1 minute of downtime. Go ahead. And if you're watching now, I think it's that direction. You can click on the sessions tab and head on over to one of our next 2 sessions. What do we got coming up here? I think we've got how to create viral ads with Gabe Wolf. That's going to be here on the marketing channel. That's going to be phenomenal. And then we've got an hour-long merchant interview. Mike Gelb is going to be interviewing Lisa from Experiment Beauty, talking about her journey and specific challenges when you go viral, run out of product, and some of that stuff you heard from Chico at Zoom, but going even into further detail. So whether you're want to stay here on the marketing track or go over there to the operations track, looking forward to the next couple sessions. And of course, we got our closing keynote coming up here at the end. Autumn, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for joining us for this session.
Thanks all. Thanks, Derek.